Today's project is based on the 7 elements of art. The 7 elements of art are like the ingredients in a recipe. Sometimes a piece of artwork requires all the elements, and sometimes just a few. Today, our project is based on the element of line. When you start an art project, you are probably going to draw some lines. So it's important that we practice drawing lines so that our hands can remember the movements. And the more that we practice, it's easier for us to control our medium, whether it be pencil, crayons, or markers. This is the project that we're creating today. Notice that there are different types of lines for us to practice. And here are the materials that we need. We are creating a garden full of flowers. So with my pencil, I start with my first flower towards the left side of my page. Try not to make your flowers way too big or way too small. I start with drawing a circle for the center of my first flower. I'm going to add some eyes and some facial expressions on my flowers to make them a little bit more interesting. You can make any type of faces that you want. Now I'm drawing some petals on the top, bottom, left, and right of my circle. These petals are skinny and they're rounded at the end. Then I'm adding more petals between these 4 petals that I have started with. I find it easier to place petals opposite of each other. Now fill in as many petals as you can onto this flower. For our next flower, we do the same center that is round and add our facial expression. I'm using a different one. Choose any expression that you like. For this flower, our petals will be swirly lines. Use a nice steady hand to create nice spirals around the center of our flower. I'm adding spirally petals all around the center of this flower. Add as many as you like. Now onto our next flower. Again, we start from the center, creating that round circle or round shape. It doesn't have to be a perfect circle. I'm adding my facial expression again, a different one. For the petals, we are going to add curvy lines all around the center. This is kind of like the first flower that we did, but the petals are a little bit shorter. I'm going to add a few layers of these petals around the center. Find a stopping point when you are happy with the size of your flower. Alright, now we're going to do our next flower. We start with the center again, a round shape. Add our facial expression next. Our petals will be just straight lines coming from the center outward. Again, I'm doing the top, bottom, left, right, and then filling in the gaps in between. Then I'm going to add some more in between those petals that I have, just to fill it and give it a lot of volume. Then I'm adding these small circles at the end of each petal. For the next flower in our garden, we do the same thing with a circle, with our facial expressions. Here I'm doing some pretty big, cute eyes, leaving some white areas. For the petals, we are going to create some droopy petals that go down and curl up. Down and curl up. So first I did the left and right petals, and then now filling in between those two petals. You might have more or less petals than me, but that's okay. Now I'm going to add more petals towards the top of the flower. Again, they're drooping down. So I'm drawing more up and then downward, curving at the ends. For the last flower, I'm going to place it here, the space that I have left. Drawing my circle and adding my facial expressions. With this last flower, I'm going to give this flower 3 large petals that go outward, and then have an edge that goes zigzag, just like this. That's our first petal. Create lines for your next petal, and then zigzag edges. Now I'm drawing my third petal with zigzag edges. And then in between these petals, I'm going to just create zigzags that go from one petal to the next. These are the petals towards the back. You have now created all the flowers in your garden. The last finishing touches is adding these stems for each of your petals. If you have any space left on your paper, go ahead and draw other flowers if you'd like. Try your best to make these stems straight and smooth. After we are done with our drawing, we're going to add color to our image. I'm taking my markers and I'm simply just outlining all the pencil lines that I have. You can use any colors that you want. For the center of the flower, I'm going to darken it with a black marker. I think the black will bring out the facial expressions. Since I outlined my flowers with markers, I'm going to go in and erase all the pencil marks. Finally, I'm going to add some leaves on these stems. And that is the end of our project. I think they turned out really nice. Now what I want you to do with this artwork is to keep it in a safe place, maybe in a folder with all your artwork. We will be doing other projects, so join me next week in the same place for another cool project. See you soon!